Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, welcome. My name is RBC Mr. Rose. Normally, this video would be a devlog focusing on my game, currently just called Squirrel Game. No official name yet, but this game is about a squirrel that platforms through different biomes, combat, and a lot of platforming. Even though this video is supposed to be a devlog for my Squirrel Game, this video is going to be about starting game dev as a broad sense and kind of going over maybe some of the mistakes I made and some of the things I did right. But for the most part, just this video is for people who want to get into game dev or who have already started game dev and just need to maybe go over things that maybe they didn't realize they were doing wrong, and this could help them on their journey. So this video can have a purpose for anyone trying to get into game dev. So let's get right into the video. The first thing I want to talk about when starting game dev is starting small, which this is a big mistake I started off with and am still struggling with, because my Squirrel Game is the first game I am publicly making. I have drawn back the scope of it already to make it smaller, but it's still bigger than what it should have been. I've been working on this game for almost 2 years, and your first couple games should be small games that maybe take a month to 2 months at most. I mean, even shorter than that would be fine too, because your first couple games should you just remaking simple games. I know a lot of people, they'll remake Flappy Bird or just simple games like that, Flappy Bird, Pac-Man, just simple games, simple prototypes, just to kind of get used to the process of making a game and getting used to the whatever game engine they're using. Like for me, I am using Godot to make my game, and I have been slowly learning the Godot engine and GDScript, which is the programming language it uses, while making this big game of mine. And it shows in some of the code I made when I first started the game is not very optimized and isn't the best way to code things. I gotta kind of make up for that in the new code that I'm writing, and sometimes having to rewrite code because it wasn't as good as it should have been. But I was just learning the Godot engine, so there's really nothing I could do about it, except I should have started with a smaller scope, smaller game. To go with starting small is hold off on your dream game. At least get a couple games out, then I would say when you're taking a step up and want to make a bigger game and maybe release that game commercially, if that's what you want to do, don't make it your dream game. Just get more and more experience, get as much experience as you can. You see all these game developers online that their first game is their dream game and they make tons of money off of it. That doesn't happen often. It might seem like it happens all the time with all these YouTubers, but just think of how many people do make games. They try to make their dream game, and no one ever sees it. The game isn't successful. So get used to the process of making games and get better at making games before you start making big games. And the next thing is to constantly experiment when starting out at game dev. And what I mean by this is just remake simple games. What I mean by experiment is try different things. Make a platformer, make an action game. And these should be small games, like I said, just little prototypes to see, okay, what am I good at? What can I create? And also like to find what are your strengths and weaknesses. Like for me, I'm not very good at pixel art, and I'm figuring this out through my big project. And some of my art that I made by myself at the start doesn't look the greatest. And then some of my art I did end up purchasing and just recoloring and slightly redesigning it to get it closer to match what mine is, but there's a clear difference. And if I knew from the start that my pixel art wasn't the greatest, then maybe I should have started buying assets for my game from the start, or I should have just stuck with knowing that I'm bad at pixel art. I'm gonna stick with my own pixel art, which I recommend fully, is to just stick with your pixel art unless you have a teammate or you hire someone to draw the art for your game. But I prefer working alone and just doing stuff myself. So for me, I should just be using my art so that there isn't a clear difference between my art and art that I buy, because that shows in my game. And then for my strengths, I have been coding for most of my life. I started using visual coding in Scratch when I was in elementary school, and then throughout middle and high school I took different coding classes in Python and JavaScript, and now in college I'm getting a computer science degree and I'm doing coding in Java. So I have a strong background in coding, and that's my strength, and that goes to show in my code for my game, for how I structure my code out. And maybe not, like I mentioned earlier, with not knowing all the syntax for and how GDScript works for Godot, but the basic structure for my code is there and is strong, and that's my strength because of my background. So I need to take advantage of my code and building systems that need lots of good code and strong coding structure. And the other thing is, when you're experimenting, try to learn as much as possible. This will help you in the long run. And now, last thing I want to talk about is focus on your strengths once you figure them out. Use your strengths to draw people in. So like I said, I'm good at coding. So if I draw people in around a mechanic a really impressive mechanic I coded, that's one way to draw people in. Or if, let's say, someone else is really good at drawing, is really good at pixel art, they could draw people in with an impressive art style that is eye-catching, and that's another way to draw people in. And then so now that you're drawing people in, build the whole game around your strength. Don't just have the start be about your strength and then it kind of loses its identity later with you trying to do different things. You gotta have a cohesive theme around your strength in your game. And then the other thing is that even though if your strength is art and you aren't the best at coding and stuff like that, the game still needs to be fun to get people to continue playing it. To go back to the art, if your strength is art, maybe build your game into an interactive story game that focuses on big art pieces that captivate the eyes and keeps them engaged. It's all about playing to your strengths and figuring out, how can I make a game around my strength but keeping it fun? And that's what makes me love game dev, is figuring out this puzzle of how am I going to make a game that's fun but still is not too difficult to make by myself with my strengths and weaknesses. And now if you want to watch the latest devlog video, it's going to be in the top right corner. If you want to watch the latest productivity tip video, that'll be in the top left corner. And if you enjoy these videos, it would be greatly appreciated if you like and subscribe. And thank you all for watching these videos. This is RBC Mr. Rhodes signing off for now.